I thought today we talk about the reality of jobs and what they pay and just being real about it and not trying to beat around the bush. You're going to have to make a lot of money in order to be able to save for a lot of money. So, some of the ideas I'm going to give you, reason I'm doing this is I had a comment. Then I professed getting a degree in mechanical engineering or a chemical engineering or becoming a chemist. And I got a comment that said one person has become a mechanical engineer and can't find the job. Now, maybe to clarify that, maybe they're not willing to take the job that's offered to them. And a lot of mechanical engineers will go to General Motors and they'll be asked to design a door hinge or a door latch or something that they hate. It's not fun. And the only thing I can tell you is that what you're going to have to do is put in the time and put in the hours and do a good job on what you've been asked to do, and then tell your boss you want to be promoted and do something more fun or more exciting, and you'll get there. I did that through my career. I had to, you have to sell yourself, and that's all there is to it. So, some of the jobs today that you might have to look at, I looked them up just now, and some of them are like an electrician, a plumber, and a flight attendant. Now, let's be honest, plumbers are going to be out in the heat working on air conditioners when it's hot, the heaters when it's cold. They're going to be outside when it's rainy, when it's hot. It's a hard job. And plumbers are exactly the same way. So I know a company that I use, and every guy I've talked to loves his job because they get paid a salary. They don't have to worry about going by the job. So they get paid a salary, and so the company charges an amount, and they get paid. And sometimes I've had two or three of them here because they're on a salary and they're trying to get my stuff fixed. And I had some big projects. So then you can always decide if you don't want to do it. And on the subject of a plumber, a guy was a plumber and he went to get his contractor's license, got it. His company found out about him, and then he got fired because it could become a conflict of interest that he would become a competitor. And I've seen that happen. That some men do that they try to get the job from the company and do it themselves for a cheaper price. I wouldn't do that. But I was told that this guy now has a multi-million. He got fired with $2,000 in his pocket, and he has a multi-million-dollar plumbing business. So plumbing is nothing to joke about, and you see multiple plumbing trucks running around all the time, and they do. And usually, this one company I use, they do electrician, they do electricity, they do heat and air, they do plumbing, they do it all. So they send out the person to do that job. So it might be something that's down and dirty, and you might not like it, but it makes life worthwhile when you bring home that paycheck. And some of the things that you might really want to consider is you could always change professions and do something else, or in the example of this company, maybe move inside and to become in sales. And so that was one of the other things they talked about was flight attendants was one, sales is another one. Median average is 60,000. And as I've talked about, the company I work for, they had you start out at 65 and move up from there. So this video was going to be is how much can I save for retirement, and I think you're going to have a job that's going to pay 60 or more in order for you to get to your retirement goal. And on the sheet I wrote up, I looked at it just now, and so let's say you're making, after a few years, you're making 75%, $75,000, and then you have a bonus of 20%, which would be $90,000. So what you want to do is start taking out 6% for yourself, and the company will match it, and then move you up to the 10%, which is 16% coming out of your salary. And 6% coming out of your salary, and you actually make more money, as I've talked about before, because the taxes won't be as high, and then you get to take that money out. Now, that would be a regular IRA or a 401k that you'd pay taxes on later, and you might be able to open up a Roth IRA if you have extra money, but that would be a way you'd plan ahead. So what I'm basically saying here is that you're going to have to search for a job that pays more money. Now, I've been at doctor's offices before and talked to people, and one guy I talked to the other day, young man, he wasn't sure what he wanted to do, if he didn't want to do urology or radiology or whatever. And there's a lot of jobs out there in the medical field that you don't have to have a degree for. You can look them all up: radiologist, MRI reader, MRI person. My cousin was an inhalation therapist. You could do physical therapy, but the inhalation therapist paid very good money, and she just went, from room to room and had them inhale and, gauged it and things like that. But the part I wanted to tell you is that, let's say you start at 22 and you got one of those jobs that pays 60,000, and in this case I used the $75,000 example plus a 20% bonus. And if you put in 16% a year, and of course it's not going to be that much at first, but if you put in 16% a year, at the end of 40 years you'd have 2.5 million. Now let me say that again: 2.5 million. And I'm only talking about becoming a millionaire. So if you don't have that much money or something happens, then you can always, ratchet it down. I'm just trying to get you to a million so you can step out and then you can invest it, and you should be able to, like, if you're making 60 or to 75,000 a year, you should be able to step out of your job and invest that money when you quit, and then you can still have the same salary that you did. And that's what the goal of all this is you just step out of your job one day, and then you can still have money coming in. And that's the most important thing. So, and that 2.5 million was at a very, very meager 6% a year, over 40 years. And some years you might not have any growth. Some years you might have 10%. And what I'm here I was looking at is, if you did the same thing and you had a 10% growth, that would be 7 million when you retired. And all you did was work. And so again, you want to work at a job that's going to pay you. Now, some people are happy being a hygienist or an assistant at a doctor's office. They're happy with that, and that's fine as long as you're happy. But are you looking forward to what's going to happen when you retire? And that's the main thing. So I would just take a good hard look at what you're doing, check out what else you can do. And let's say an electrician or a plumber takes 5 years for you to become a journeyman, I believe is the correct term, for you to be able to go out on your own, but you can still make good money. Now, the funny story that I want to tell you is the car industry is needing mechanics to work very, very badly. A lot of them are quitting. There's a lot of electronics. You need to be computer savvy. Look it up. There's a guy that has a YouTube channel called I Do Cars. And if you look up some of his ones where he's got a BMW that he's not tearing the engine down, he's actually going through the car, it'll show you all of the codes that he's got. He's erasing them and making sure. And so you've got to be computer savvy. You've got to figure it out. And you could become a mechanic. And there's Dave's Auto that's on YouTube that I watch. And these guys are just top notch. Dave is amazing on what he knows and what you're looking for. I suggest if you want to be a mechanic, watch him. But the really funny thing about this is that I don't know what it is now. I haven't checked. But Ferrari mechanics make like $350 an hour. And that is when you're starting out. And then they move you up to $500 or $600 an hour. And you could take that trade anywhere. If you know how to work on a Ferrari, then you could probably go to work anywhere. There's one I watch. It's called Terrell's Classic Cars in England, and they take cars and go do full restorations, like the interior, the engines, and everything. And it's a high-paying job. It's a lot of work to try to figure it out. They're interesting. You could watch those videos and see if find videos that see if you are interested in doing that kind of thing. But the goal is like, I went out to eat today, and they'll start you out at $10 an hour at a little Mexican place. I don't think you're going to get there to a million making $10 an hour. So you're gonna survive and then get Social Security, and you're done. So look at the things you want to do. You might just have to put your foot into it, get going, and say, this is what I want to do, and I want to be the best at it, and get paid well. And then always put money back for retirement and in savings. And that's what I highly recommend. So as always, like, subscribe, hit the bell, and make a comment, and then tell other people about this channel so they can also become a millionaire. Thank you for your time.